Good evening everyone and welcome to New Eridu Tonight. I'm your host Ian Higton, and on today's show I'll be taking a look at the biggest video game of the moment, Zenless Zone Zero, or as its dedicated players call it, ZZZ. Are you sure that's right? That makes it sound like I'm a bumblebee. With so many people currently playing and talking about Zenless Zone Zero, it is no wonder that people like you attempted to give it a try, especially considering that it's completely free to download on PS5, PC and mobile. But once it's on your system of choice, Zenless Zone Zero quickly throws a lot of information and gameplay mechanics in your direction, which, in my experience at least, can be fairly overwhelming, especially for people unfamiliar with other big games from its developer, such as Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact. So for all you Zenless Zone Zero beginners out there, here are 7 things that you need to know about the game, starting with, what even is Zenless Zone Zero?
We're getting closer to the Strongbox's signal.
At its core, Zenless Zone Zero is a free-to-play game with gacha-style mechanics. That means while you can download and play the game for free for as long as you want to, there are plenty of gambling-style systems built into it that are specifically designed to tempt you to spend real-world money on the game. These systems range from simple things like Howl's free Scratch Card Mania game, which encourages you to log into Zenless Zone Zero once per day in order to win free gifts with a lucky scratch card, through to more complex banner events that give you the chance to unlock new characters, but at the same time encourage you to splash your actual real-world money on an in-game currency called monochrome. But what about when the game isn't trying to crowbar your wallet open? Well, Zenless Zone Zero really is a game of many parts, and while its opening chapter may give off the impression that it's a solid action game that revolves around taking down monsters using perfectly timed dodges and chained attacks between multiple squad members, this is only a fraction of the gameplay on offer. Battles like these are split into 2 types, combat commissions and rally commissions, and if you're after flashy, extravagant visuals and action with a sublime flow to it, these small combat arenas found in the supernatural disaster zones called Hollows will really hit the spot for you. However, if fighting foes isn't for you, there are also other types of commissions available which have distinctly different flavours. Exploration commissions, for example, are where you'll play a board game style mode called Hollow Deep Dive, which takes place on a top-down board made out of TV screens. In each HDD session, you'll need to move your avatar, a rabbit-esque robot called a Bangboo, around the board until you reach the goal.
We have reached a trapped worker.
The further you get into the game, the more complex these exploration commissions become, but most of them will involve collecting bonuses, avoiding enemies, and occasionally dropping into small combat arenas and taking a trio of agent characters into short battles with monsters. If, however, you'd rather spend your time relaxing and chatting to the colourful characters who inhabit the city of New Eridu, you can always partake in something called city commissions, which see you taking on low-stakes objectives around the town, like, say, taking photos of stray cats, watching a teen romance unfold, or collecting videotapes for the Random Play video store. Word of warning though, all of these commission types aren't readily available from the start of the game. They are in fact drip-fed to you rather slowly, and you'll need to grind through a fair few hours of tutorialised missions before things begin to fully open up for you. But before you do any of that, the game will ask you to make a choice, and that choice is... should you play as Belle or Wise?
Wise, come check this out.
What's that?
Belle and Wise are siblings, and they are also the main protagonists of Zenless Zone Zero. They run the Random Play video store, and they are also the characters that you'll control when you're out and about exploring the streets of New Eridu. Thankfully, there are no negative consequences for picking either Belle or Wise as your main character, as they stay firmly out of harm's way during combat missions inside the Hollows. They do, however, have a few minor differences that may sway your choice if you're not just going on visual aesthetics over everything else. For example, Wise, the brother, does have a slightly faster running speed compared to Belle. Presumably, this is due to his longer legs more than anything else. This doesn't have any benefit to the gameplay other than allowing you to get around New Eridu slightly faster, but unless you're really in a rush and want to shave off as many seconds as possible, there's really not that much of a gap between the pair in terms of speed. Before you make your decision though, it is also worth bearing in mind that you cannot change your character once you've made your choice. There are certain sections where you do take control of the other sibling for a short while due to plot reasons, but for the majority of the game, this initial choice will be locked in. The one obvious thing that your choice will have an effect on though is the cutscenes, as your chosen character will often take the lead in these. While the main story and its contents won't be altered in any way, you will receive slightly different cutscenes depending on who you choose. These differences include slight dialogue changes and the characters reacting slightly differently to certain events due to their different personalities. And on the subject of dialogue,
they're really cracking down on proxies. They set up a hotline and...
Did you know that there is a dedicated dialogue skip button?
I can't hear that superior ethereal anymore.
If you're not in the mood for hours upon hours of cutesy anime-esque dialogue and just want to get on with the monster smashing and gacha grabbing action, you'll be very pleased to know that, unlike Genshin Impact, the previous game from developers miHoYo, Zenless Zone Zero has a skip dialogue option during its lengthy moments of character conversations. By pressing the appropriate menu button for your system, you can choose to auto-run the dialogue, which will push the chatter forwards automatically and only stop when there's a choice for you to make, or you can skip the convo entirely. What's great about this option, though, is the game gives you a little synopsis of what you're skimming over, so you'll still get the gist of what's happening without having to waste 32 minutes of your life listening to cat girls talk gibberish. Sorry, Nekamiya, it's time to meow on to our next point, which is... how do you redeem codes in Zenless Zone Zero? One of the most searched terms for Zenless Zone Zero is how to redeem codes, and in this section I'm not only going to tell you how to do that, but I'm also going to let you know how to find a bunch of codes too, so that all you beginners can start off the game with a pocket full of Denny's, polychromes and all the other little in-game currencies on offer too. The most important thing to note here is that you will first need to reach Internaut level 5 before you can start redeeming codes. This is basically just your standard character level with a fancy name, and Internaut level 5 is easily reached just by progressing through the game. It only took me a couple of hours to get there, but that was before I discovered the skip dialogue button, so you could probably shave at least 45 minutes off that time if you aren't bothered with the story. Now, the first thing you need to do when you redeem a code is open the in-game menu in the top left-hand corner by pressing either Escape on PC, tapping it on mobile, or in my case, pressing the Options button on PS5. From there, select More, and then select Redemption Code. Next up, you'll actually want to input a redemption code, and for this example, I'm using ZZZ HoYoLab, which, when redeemed, gave me 3 official investigator logs, which can be used to level up your characters, and 10,000 Denny, which is the main currency in the game. To redeem these gifts properly, remember to then head to your mailbox, where they'll be delivered after entering the code. Once claimed from the mailbox, items such as logs will automatically go to your inventory, while Denny's will be dropped straight into your wallet. Now stand by to pause this video and make some notes, because while I'm talking, I'm going to flash up 4 more codes for you, which are all currently available at the time of recording this video. Some codes for Zenless Zone Zero do expire though, so some of these ones may not work in the future. The best way to check which codes are currently working and which ones have expired is to head over to the Eurogamer guides page for Zenless Zone Zero, which I've linked to in the description to this video. This page is regularly updated, so head on over there once you've finished watching this video and see if anything new has been added. Otherwise, you could actually be missing out on a load of free stuff. How do you unlock new characters in Zenless Zone Zero? While Belle and Wise are the main story characters in Zenless Zone Zero, they won't be jumping into any battles for you, as that job is left up to the agents that you will earn throughout playing the game. At the time of writing this video, there are 16 characters available for players to get their hands on, with some being unlocked through playing the story mode, while others can be obtained through things called signal searches, which are sometimes called banners.
Time to kick back and chillax.
When you first start Zenless Zone Zero, you'll automatically unlock 3 characters in the prologue: Nicole, Billy and Anby, while Ben Bigger the Bear here can be unlocked by completing the first story in Chapter 2. Pervert's favourite, Corinne, the shy lolly maid, can be unlocked for free by checking your mailbox as soon as you get access to it. Just look for the mail titled Global Pre-Registration Milestone Rewards and claim that. But be warned, at the time of recording this video, the gifts in this message were set to expire in 179 days, so you might not be able to unlock Corinne like this in the future. Angry Ginger stepchild, Khalida here, can also be unlocked later in the story via a combat challenge mode called Clear Shiyu Defense Third Frontier in stable node. Oh my god, I don't think I even know what words are anymore. The main way to unlock the other characters, including upcoming characters like Jane Doe and Seth, is by heading to the signal search area, which can be reached by selecting the TV icon in the top right hand corner of the screen once it becomes available to you about an hour into the game. The signal search area initially contains 3 channels, which will allow you to pull for random drops, or as the game calls them, signal searches. And these signal searches can include new characters, or more commonly, things called W engines that you can use to upgrade your characters in certain ways. You can unlock characters randomly here if you're lucky, but you are also guaranteed a character unlock after a certain number of searches, depending on what channel you're in. The main channel, Channel Stable, allows you to search for signals using a currency called master tapes. This is your basic channel that is always available to search on. The 2 other channels available at the start are the W Engine channel and the Exclusive channel, which are limited time events that use encrypted master tapes as currency. These channels offer rarer, more specific drops, but are limited time only. So, for example, the current Exclusive channel at the time of making this video gives you more of a chance to earn Ellen, who will be a guaranteed drop if you haven't managed to unlock her within 80 signal searches. It's a complex system that you'll come to understand slowly over time, but it's safe to say that you should probably save your encrypted master tapes for an exclusive event for a character that you really want, because otherwise you'll either have to spend a lot of real-world cash to get them, or hope that you somehow get mega lucky in Channel Stable. And that leads on to another very important question, which is: who exactly are the best characters in Zenless Zone Zero? Okay, so a couple of points before I get into this one. Firstly, I haven't unlocked all of the characters yet, so this next section's advice is all thanks to the legends on the Eurogamer Guides team. And secondly, as new characters will be added to the game over time, please be aware that this following tier list is subject to change. So please go check out the Eurogamer Best Characters Guide that I've linked to in the description below if you're watching this video a month or more after it's gone live. Divided into their tiers, here's detailed information of what our guide team thinks of every character in Zenless Zone Zero, starting with the cream of the crop, the S tier characters. Ellen is an S-rank ice attack character with slash type damage. Ellen is the best attacker in Zenless Zone Zero, not only because of her huge personal damage output, but because she's part of one of the best teams when paired with Lycaon and Sukaku. I hope I've pronounced those names right, they're nonsense names. Just remember to enter her special roaming state by holding or double tapping the dash button, as this is where Ellen can build flash freeze charges quickly. Once you've mastered her deceptively simple playstyle, it'll be a quick death for any poor ethereal caught in Ellen's path of ice destruction. Lycaon is an S-rank ice stun character with strike type damage. A brilliant character to build right now, Lycaon provides incredible daze support, increased stun duration, has ice resistant shred almost all the time, synergizes with some of the best attackers out there, and can even be used outside of ice and Victoria housekeeping squads thanks to his huge daze capabilities. Even if you're not timing his attacks properly, Lycaon is still a boost to your team, but remembering to charge up and chain his basic attacks makes him even better. Rena is an S-rank electric support character with strike type damage. Despite initially feeling like a slow attacker, your damage potential is actually boosted quite a lot if you're playing Rena correctly in a sort of sub-DPS role. That is, you use one of her special attacks and then swap to another squad member quickly. Her attack will then continue to cause damage while you're fighting with the other character, making her an excellent, almost off-field attacker. Rena can even work in teams that aren't electric or Victoria housekeeping focused thanks to the penetration ratio buff that the whole squad gains from her Drusilla and Anastella Bangboos when they're deployed. Onto the A-tier characters next, starting with Grace, who is an S-rank electric anomaly character with pierce type damage. Grace is actually a pretty tricky character to play correctly, as there's a lot of swapping and building of zap stacks that you need to account for if you want the best sub DPS and shock application from her. If you can master this though, Grace is amazing in electric teams, as she can cause damage and build shock even when she's not on the field. Lucy is an A-rank fire support character with strike type damage. For an A rank, Lucy has some amazing support buffs and sub-DPS damage that can be applied to any team, but she's especially useful when paired with fellow Fire Squad members. As long as you raise her attack stat enough and summon her guard boars with her regular and EX special attack, Lucy is one of the easiest characters to play, as all you need to do is swap out to another character when she summons her boars and continue fighting with those other characters. The little boars will continue attacking, they even scale off Lucy's crit rate and damage, and this will give your team a huge attack boost. Repeat this loop and your squad's DPS will be constantly boosted. Soldier 11 is an S-rank fire attack character with slash type damage. As the only fire attacker in the game at the moment, Soldier 11 is the best DPS you can take into a fight against enemies with the fire weakness. To really get the most out of her fire damage buffed kit, however, you have to time her basic attacks correctly by hitting at precise intervals to perform the correct combo. Otherwise, she does physical damage, which you don't want as her kit is designed around boosting her fire damage. It's not a difficult basic attack combo to achieve, however, so don't let it put you off trying Soldier 11. Overall, Soldier 11 is a great attacker with a relatively simple kit. Sukaku is an A-rank ice support character with slash type damage, although it can be a little tricky to master the exact attack pattern you need to activate Sukaku's best support capabilities. Those support buffs are quite the boon to have, as she boosts the attack of the next character by a huge amount when you swap to them at the end of her best attack combo. This is good in any team, but she also boosts ice damage, so Sukaku is best paired with ice squad members. Additionally, her buffs last quite a while, freeing you up to deal damage with your other squad members more often than other supports let you. Next up is the long list of B tier characters, headed up by Anby, an A rank electric stun character with slash type damage. As a free stun character, Anby is of course useful in your squads, especially when paired with Electro or Cunning Hare's squad members. There's nothing at all special about the rest of her kit, however, but Anby does have one of the easiest combos in the game, which can boost her damage and daze. After the third hit of her basic attack, hold down or pause for a short while, and then press basic attack again. It's a nice sort of area of effect attack that can hit a lot of enemies around Anby with electric instead of physical, so we recommend doing this combo as often as you can. Ben is an A-rank fire defense character with strike type damage. Ben's big appeal is the shield he grants the whole squad when he launches a follow-up attack during his EX special attack. This also increases the crit rate of the team. It's a great ability to have for sure, but the big downside to Ben is that he is a very slow character on the field, and there are other support and anomaly characters that will help you clear content a lot faster than him. However, if you're not a fan of timing dodges and avoiding enemy attacks, or are maining Khalida, who Ben has a great synergy with, we highly recommend adding Ben to your team. Just be aware that surviving longer isn't usually the main goal in Zenless Zone Zero, it's finishing fights as quickly as you can. Khalida then is an S-rank fire stun character with strike type damage. Khalida is a pretty unique character as her full stun and damage potential isn't unleashed unless she's paired with Ben. Both are slow attackers however, especially Ben, so this isn't an ideal pairing in relation to the best teams out there. Still, Khalida is a stun character, so her daze potential is very useful, even in non-fire or Belle Bog industry squads. Nekomiya Mana, better known by her nickname Nekomata, is an S-rank physical attack character with slash type damage. Nekomata is a great pick if you like a speedy playstyle, and her physical damage potential is currently the best in the game right now, but she doesn't have an amazing support potential outside of Piper. Still, you can clear a lot of content with Nekomata as long as you remember that most of her damage comes from her dodge counters and quick assists, and using her EX special attack as often as possible. Nicole is an A-rank ether support character with strike type damage. We suspect Nicole will actually be a very useful companion in your ether teams, but right now there are no other ether characters to pair her with, and her buffs with the Cunning Hares aren't that great either. We still think that her NG Field's slight grouping abilities are useful, but they'll become even better when characters like Zhu Yan are released and you can build that ether anomaly damage up quickly. You should be aiming to produce an energy field as often as possible with Nicole anyway, as it reduces the enemy's defense by 20% for a short time while it's active. Piper is an A-rank physical anomaly character with slash type damage. Piper is incredible at quickly building up and applying the physical anomaly effect with her EX special attack, and she also boosts your team's physical damage as part of her core additional ability. You'll want to hold down the EX special attack to spin until she causes physical anomaly, or swap out to another character right after triggering it, as she'll continue spinning for a while even after you change characters. With some nice stun potential too, Piper is a great pick for boosting your physical team's overall damage. C-tier characters are next, starting with Anton, an A-rank electric attack character with pierce type damage. While he's the only electric attacker in the game right now, Anton is almost certainly going to be power crept as soon as another comes out, seeing as he's only an A rank and has an awkward kit. It's hard to get the most damage potential out of Anton at times because he needs to be in his burst mode to cause any real damage, and he actually loses energy while fighting. He's not an awful character right now, but his limited future potential might put you off of spending your precious resources on upgrades for him. Corin is an A-rank physical attack character with slash type damage. Corin is actually quite good in crowd control situations, like when you have to keep enemies outside of the circle for certain commissions, but as an A rank in the attacker role, her damage potential is limited when compared to those in S rank. So while Corin can help apply a little daze with her assist and does increased damage against stunned enemies as part of her core additional ability, you're almost always better off building another physical attacker, unless you're utilising her second Mindscape Cinema buff in physical squads. This reduces the physical resistance of enemies when Corin's EX special attack, chain attack or ultimate hits them. And finally, it's time for the only D-tier character on this list. It's poor old Billy No Mates. Billy is an A-rank physical attack character with pierce type damage. Although it breaks our heart to put him in D tier, Billy has the same issues as Corin, good at crowd control but lacks damage output. He can perform nice ranged attacks, but his damage drops off the further an enemy is from Billy. You can get a nice DPS flow by activating his ultimate as much as possible, but Billy is more suited as a second member on your squad, not as your main attacker, where unfortunately stun, support and anomaly characters might serve you better than another attacker.
Just don't blink!
Did any of that make any sense to you? Because basically absolutely none of that made any sense to me. So just remember that Ellen, Lycaon, or however you say that, and Rena, they're the top three characters. So try and get them. Anyway, finally, I've mentioned them a couple of times in this video before, but what on earth are Bangboos and what are they even for?
Hey guys, over here!
Well, there are two types of Bangboo in Zenless Zone Zero, and both types are small pets that you can have working alongside you throughout your adventures. The first type of Bangboo you'll have is Eos. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Eos is a Bangboo that will be your helper in the Hollow Story missions at the very beginning of the game. And they cannot participate in combat, but they are still a very helpful ally. The second type of Bangboo are called Combat Bangboo, and they are the ones that you can have accompany you in the field. They all have unique battle styles, combat perks, and they can even provide vital statistic boosts to your chosen team. To get more Combat Bangboo in Zenless Zone Zero, you need to use a currency called Boopon to pull Bangboo banners, aka signal searches, in the Bangboo channel that you can unlock later in the game. However, at the time of making this video, I haven't unlocked that feature yet, so all I can do is show you these screenshots here. Each unlocked Combat Bangboo has different abilities that can be upgraded by visiting the Remodeling Shop Turbo in New Eridu City. To check out a tier list of all available Bangboos and what each Bangboo's unique abilities are, please check out the guide page linked in the video description below. And that's the end of this episode of New Eridu Tonight. I've been Ian Higton and you have been wonderful. So please do give this video a like if you found it useful, subscribe to Eurogamer for almost daily videos about video games, and most of all, I wish you the best of luck with your signal searches in Zenless Zone Zero. Goodbye.